I mean, what do you know about you said they're spewing all this venom on the media. Like, what, are you watching everything? Or
No.
Okay.
I get some updates from people. I get stopped on the street and get updates from random people that I don't even know.
This is the brief on the alleged lies revealed in Joshua Brown's police interview. So, what we're looking at here is a deep dive into the police interview with Joshua Brown, a key figure from the Daystar TV ministry. It's all about the accusations from Jonathan and Susie Lamb, who say his story just doesn't add up when it comes to his conduct around their young daughter. First, let's talk about that 2021 Florida beach house incident. It's a huge deal. Brown claimed he went upstairs just to see a city view with his son. But Susie Lamb and the housekeepers say, no, he followed the little girl right after she was told to go change. And the real kicker? Brown himself later slipped up and admitted, I knew she was going up there. Second, you've got this really troubling shower incident from 2020. Brown's version is that the 4-year-old just walked in on him while he was naked. He even claimed Susie Lamb's reaction was pretty light. But Susie says she was absolutely stunned and that her daughter started acting really scared of him right after that happened. And finally, there's the issue of his unannounced house visits. Brown tried to downplay them, saying he could only remember one time the nanny was there. Well, sources insist he dropped by multiple times, often using a unicorn toy he'd bought as a reason to get into the girl's bedroom. What's incredible is that the nanny, a key witness, has reportedly never even been interviewed by police. When you line all this up, the contradictions seriously call Brown's credibility into question and show why this whole controversy needs a fresh investigation.
Hi, before we dive in very deep, if you are new here, kindly consider subscribing to the channel for latest update. Also, if you like this video, comment your thoughts, for it will be greatly appreciated. God bless you. Now let us get into the deep facts.
Today we're taking on a stack of source material that details a really fraught and emotionally difficult conflict within a major religious organization.
We're talking about the Daystar broadcasting family.
Exactly. And our sources are focused on this specific, deeply contentious civil and familial war. It's all centered on allegations against an in-law, Joshua Brown.
And those allegations are being leveled by family members Jonathan and Susie Lamb, and, it's important to note, a lot of their supporters.
Yeah, and this is a tricky landscape for you, the listener, because what we found is that the sources present two entirely different realities. It's jarring.
It is. We've synthesized everything we could find, from excerpts of a really aggressive interview with Josh defending himself to, extensive commentary and detailed eyewitness accounts from the Lamb side.
So our mission here, just to be clear, is not to decide who is right.
No, absolutely not. It's to analyze the arguments, to pull out the core claims, and to really identify the key inconsistencies that the sources themselves rely on to build their cases.
Right. So we're going to dissect the allegations around two specific vacation incidents. We'll analyze the critical points where stories just don't line up and review the highly disputed status of the police investigation.
This is a deep dive into competing narratives, and the stakes really couldn't be higher.
Let's start with that central conflict, with the issue of motive, because really the entire saga seems to hinge on why. Why would the Lambs press such serious claims?
Well, Josh's defense, as you see it in the sources, is it's fiery. He calls the accusations absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, he says they ruin his life with, and I'm quoting here, no factual nothing and no credibility.
He basically claims the Lambs are just spraying their venom.
And according to his perspective in these sources, that venom has a very specific source.
He does. Professional jealousy and power. That's his argument. He alleges that after Jonathan's father, Marcus Lamb, passed away, Jonathan just assumed he would take over Daystar.
But he didn't.
He didn't. Joni Lamb, Jonathan's mother, she took the leadership role instead. And Josh claims that's when the Lambs just lashed out. He frames their entire campaign as a huge power play.
A Hail Mary.
A desperate Hail Mary attempt, to get back at the family.
But the counter-narrative from the Lambs and their supporters, it couldn't be more different.
Not at all. They say they were driven by one thing and one thing only: protecting their young daughter.
They say they gave up their entire financial future, their roles in the ministry. They gave it all up, is the phrase they used.
Right, all to stand against what they perceived as moral wrongdoings by Joni Lamb. This includes, discomfort over her marriage to a man named Doug, who one source called creepy, and even accusations that Joni put trackers in their cars.
So real threats.
Alleged threats, yes.
What's fascinating to me here is that the sources, They kind of agree on the setting, if not the motive. Everyone agrees this is a high-stakes battle.
Oh, absolutely. It's for succession and for moral authority within this massive religious platform. And it goes beyond the core allegations. The sources mention these broader character assassinations against Josh, claims he was doing really creepy, weird things.
But then those backing Josh say the Lamb story has changed over and over.
A claim the Lamb supporters just vehemently deny. They say the core facts have been consistent from the very beginning.
Okay, so if professional jealousy is the motive for the Lambs, let's test that theory. Let's look at the specifics of the claims, starting with the 2021 Florida beach house incident. This is the event that really seems to have just broken everything.
It is. So the scene is this large vacation rental. Multiple families are staying there together.
Right.
And the critical point of disagreement, it all revolves around a set of stairs leading up to the kids' rooms.
The question being, did Josh follow the little girl up those stairs, or did she just happen to follow him after he was already going up for another reason?
Exactly. Everything hangs on that.
So let's break down Josh's version first. He says he was downstairs. He's with his 1-year-old son, Judah, who's teething and fussy.
Okay.
And his 8-year-old nephew, Israel, is talking about the 3rd floor city view. So Josh claims he offered to go up to let Israel show him the view and the little girl.
She also comes upstairs behind him, uninvited by Josh.
That's his story. He's on Israel's bed, kneeling, looking out the window, when Jonathan, the father, bursts in.
He's furious, screaming, "What are you doing in here?"
Right. And Josh says he apologized immediately, but only because he was confronted by a, quote, crazy guy going bonkers, not because he was guilty of anything.
And his lawyer later argued the girl was 18 to 20 feet away. Josh insists he never saw her undress.
Okay, but the Lamb's version, which is backed up by Susie and also the housekeeper, Sylvia, it's just structurally different.
Completely. Susie states she explicitly told her daughter to go upstairs and put on her swimsuit.
So a direct instruction?
A direct instruction.
Yeah.
And she claims, the second I said that, Josh's entire demeanor changed. His eyes turned black. And he instantly started to follow the little girl up the stairs.
And what about the fussy baby?
In this version, the baby, Judah, was a non-factor. He wasn't fussy. It was just an excuse.
And they also challenge the whole invitation part of his story.
They do. The Lambs say the nephew, Israel, was already upstairs, minding his own business. He wasn't downstairs inviting anyone up to see a view.
So Jonathan runs up, finds his daughter unclothed, and says Josh apologized.
At least 50 times, according to Jonathan.
Wow. Okay, so this is where the source is supporting the Lambs. This is where they point to the critical contradiction.
This is their smoking gun, so to speak, because Josh's entire defense, it rests on the idea that he went up first, invited, and the girl just happened to follow.
Right.
Yet later in his own interview, he's describing the sequence of events, and he slips. He says, "I saw her. I knew she was going up there."
I knew she was going up there.
And that tiny phrase, that accidental admission, they see it as the structural flaw in his whole defense.
Because it confirms their account.
It suggests he followed her. It suggests a proactive motive, not a reactive one where she just ended up behind him by chance. It shifts the entire focus from happenstance to intent.
It is just, it's jarring how
Right.
two sets of people can have such wildly different memories of a single afternoon, especially with kids involved. Let's move to the incident from the year before, the 2020 shower incident. The Lambs suggest this was really the marker for the child's change in behavior.
Yeah, this was on an earlier vacation. The family was in a compound, and the downstairs bathroom, it didn't lock.
So Josh, whose wife was pregnant at the time, he blocked the hallway entrance with a table.
Right, to enforce a kind of COVID-era separation.
Right.
It forced anyone who wanted to use it to go through his bedroom first.
So Josh's version of this is that the 4-year-old girl somehow navigated this whole setup, went through his bedroom and saw him fully nude or about to get in the shower.
And he claims he immediately went out to the hallway where Susie was, right there.
And told her what happened.
Exactly.
Ah.
And he claims she laughed. She supposedly said, "Oh, that naughty girl, she knows that she shouldn't have been in there," and then just dismissed it, saying, "You didn't even have to tell me."
A very casual reaction.
Very.
But Susie's counter-narrative, it's the complete opposite of casual.
She says she was sitting on the couch in the living room, not right there outside the door, and that she was stunned. She was in shock that he was telling her this.
She insists her daughter, who she describes as highly compliant, would not walk through that bedroom to get to a bathroom she knew was off limits.
And she flat out denies, saying, naughty girl, denies laughing, denies dismissing it at all.
And the sources really highlight the importance of this moment. Why is this incident so critical to the Lamb's timeline?
Because they claim that immediately after this trip, the child's behavior changed. She started acting stiff and scared and skittish around Josh.
Cowering at Daystar.
Visibly cowering, yes. And this all culminated months later in November 2020 in a molestation disclosure. So for them, this earlier incident, which Josh reported so casually, is framed as the starting point of the documented fear.
Okay, so let's move beyond the vacation spots. The sources that support the Lambs also detail what they call a pattern of Josh trying to gain access to the child at home.
Right. When asked about this, Josh initially told the interviewer he could only remember once visiting the house when the parents weren't home. He said only the nanny was there.
But the Lambs' narrative strongly refutes that.
Oh, yeah. They claim he showed up multiple times, often unannounced, and he used a toy, a unicorn he'd given the girl, as a ploy.
A ploy for what?
To get into her private bedroom. They allege he would ask to see the toy, which would require him to go into her room to see it.
And here we get to a crucial point about the investigation itself, one that's emphasized again and again in the source material.
The nanny.
The nanny. The key objective, non-family witness who could confirm or deny the number of these unannounced visits.
And she has never been interviewed by the Colleyville police.
That's a huge gap.
It's a critical gap that those calling for the case to be reopened constantly point to.
And then we also have accusations of inappropriate physical contact outside the home.
Yes, multiple witnesses, JW and Rebecca, claim Josh forced himself on her to kiss her, mouth to mouth. This allegedly happened in the green room on 2 separate occasions.
Another witness claimed kissing on the neck and face in the pool.
Josh, for his part, characterizes all of his interactions as just playful, kissing on the head or the cheek. He denies any intimate mouth-to-mouth contact.
So what's the current status of all this?
Well, the sources state the police closed the case. No charges were filed.
And the Lamb supporters have a theory about why.
They do. They allege this outcome was the result of significant influence from the Daystar ministry, claiming they astounded the police.
Which is a very serious allegation.
It is, and it's why there are these continuous calls to reopen the investigation, to pursue these, objective leads.
Like interviewing the nanny?
Interviewing the nanny and seeking information from Australia about a Pastor Russell Evans and a letter that supposedly concerns alleged homosexual advances by Josh. These are threads they say were never pulled.
This is clearly a case where both sides are claiming the moral high ground. Both claim to have paid an immense price for their version of the truth.
Absolutely. The Lambs say they sacrificed their entire career. Josh says his reputation has been sacrificed.
And the evidence, it's so heavily reliant on anecdotal testimony from family members. It really forces you, the listener, to just weigh the credibility of every single person involved.
The sources themselves sort of end by framing this whole struggle in these big moral terms. They cite Ephesians 4.25.
Which talks about the struggle between those who put off falsehood and speak truthfully and those being corrupted by its deceitful desire.
Yeah. The quest for truth persists in this deeply fractured, really high-profile family ministry.
So with that, a final thought for you to consider. Given the massive emotional investment and, let's be honest, the financial wreckage on both sides of this conflict, and considering the numerous witnesses who contradict Josh's claims, from those 2 incidents to the number of home visits, what single external objective piece of evidence, something beyond the testimony of conflicted family members, would be necessary for the police to ethically reopen this investigation? Specifically, how important is the testimony of that uninterviewed nanny or the information allegedly held in Australia in potentially shifting the entire foundational narrative of this case? Something to mull over as you process the complexities of these competing accounts.